Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been 6 months since we officially got this rig.
We finally got solar. It's been a hassle and a half. Just wanted to say that we upgraded the battery. Jonathan had a 100 amp hour lithium Dakota battery. I upgraded it to a 300 amp hour Epic battery, which is Bluetooth enabled, so I can check how many amp hours we have available, because with the last one we really didn't know, and because we live in a condo we have to have it plugged in front of our house just to charge up the battery, and we never knew how much battery storage we had, so I ended up paying quite a bit. It was like $1,000, but it was well worth it, and we finally got solar. It took a long time because the solar guy would order the parts and then come out, and then he was like, oh, I have the wrong parts, we need to do it again. And then it started raining, and it was raining for probably like a month, because it was December, and then we finally got some bright sunny days so we could install it. So we'll show you right now what we've done to upgrade the camper, and I think it looks really nice.
Alright, well, since it's officially been 6 months, we figured we'd show you guys everything that we've done and talk a little bit about maybe any changes that we might make, upcoming plans for the future and the future of the camper. So we'll take you guys along for that. Okay.
Alright, so this is our solar panel setup. So our solar panel guy, Ryan from Ryan's RV Repairs, he installed 8 50-watt panels. So we have a total of 400 watts. You can see these two right here. And if you don't know, when having these installed, it takes 2 full days for the die core to fully harden, so it keeps everything in place. And now we never have to worry about not being able to charge our panels again. In fact, if we didn't have this TV antenna, I'd probably stick 2 more for 500 watts, but 400 watts is good enough. It fully powers our 300 amp hour battery, and we never have to worry about not having enough juice again, because when we went to, if you remember our Vancouver, BC video, we actually had to go and stay at a RV resort because we ran out of juice, because I had no idea how much battery power I had because it wasn't Bluetooth enabled. So with the Epic battery, I never have to worry about that, and we have the solar panel, our solar control panel. Well, unfortunately it's down by the floor, but that also shows how much battery storage we have.
I made a video you going down. You're funny.
As you guys know, most RVs run on propane. We actually think the propane place where we fill up is only down the street from us, so it's not very far. I want this to come out. So, as a lot of you guys know, we use a Mopica sensor so we know how much propane is in our propane canisters. I could just get this out. So, as you can see, this little Mopica Pro, these are really good to have because it helps knowing how much you have in there. So we have one for each of our propane canisters, just because we have to rely on it for not only for heating but for cooking as well. And the only fortunate thing, because this is an older camper, these tend to slide around, so sometimes the sensor will say that it is empty when it's not, and that's just because they slide around. And the newer Northern Light, it has a slide out, which makes it easier to access. On here, it's not quite as much. All right, so that's it for our propane. We just put on Mopica sensors. It makes things way easier for knowing how much propane we have. And it goes through really quickly when it's winter and you're running the heater the whole time, just because it's cold. Because it just really eats the propane quite quickly, to say the least. These things are heavy. Alright, so as you guys can see, this hasn't changed. We use the torque lift fast guns. I had to use, well, this one, Jonathan said he lost, so he just used the padlock. And then we have for this one, I lost the padlock because it fell off on the road. And I heard a loud clunk. And then when we got home, I was missing one. So I had to get another padlock for this one. And these things are really good. They are very expensive. I think it's like $800 for the set for the fast guns, and about the same for the frame mounts. But it keeps us really in place. I've had some occasions where the camper does slightly shift, but since I've reset it on there, well, against the wooden panel that, or piece of wood that Jonathan had done against the camper, it hasn't shifted at all, thankfully, because that's really annoying. Especially when you're going around windy roads, it'll shift to the passenger side, which is really quite annoying. And let's see. All right, and here is our Epic battery. A lot of people who use these in the newer ones, they have to basically saw off these handles because it makes it slightly too large. So this battery is hooked up to our solar panel system. It's a 300 amp hour battery. It's not cheap, it's like $1,000, but it's totally worth the money, because before we only had a single 100 amp hour battery, and that didn't last that long at all. And especially when you're not able to know how much battery power you have, it's not really convenient. Ooh. Should saw this handle. Kind of.
Oh,
I had to shut
okay, there we go.
So now it's locked. Really nothing else different here other than the fast guns. And thankfully, since I've put it back on the camper. It hasn't slid to the side, though. If I had a bigger truck, I'd definitely like to get something with a flatbed, which would be really nice. But that probably eventually just upgrade to a bigger truck. So nothing really else to show different on the outside. So let's go into the. All right, so you guys know what the truck looks like. Jonathan had this for quite a while. I think probably over a year. It's actually that's when I started watching his channels, when he had this truck camper, and when he had put it for sale on Facebook Marketplace for about, it was $28,000, and I recognized the name. I'm like, holy cow, this YouTuber that I watch is selling his rig. This would be perfect for us because it's a 1-ton diesel truck. We get about 12 miles per gallon, which is pretty normal, at a high of 13.75. So it kind of depends. Unfortunately, the downside with having a diesel truck is that the oil changes are really expensive. I still haven't bothered to get one yet, but I do need to soon, just because, you know, just for maintenance for the vehicle. It's like 250 bucks, which is expensive. And then of course we chose this rig because I always wanted a Northern Light, because fiberglass campers last a long time, and this one's a 99 Northern Light 9.6 Classic, and it's, other than a few repairs, it's, you know, it's in really good condition. We had to have the, what is it? I had to have the black tank valve replaced, just because when I've emptied out the black tank and the gray tank right here, so when I pull this off, a bunch of pee would come out, which is really gross, and nobody likes to deal with that. So unfortunately, we had to have this black tank valve replaced with a new one. And as you can see, I keep the sewer black tank / gray tank hose in there because this little tube that Jonathan had kept it in before, it came open on our trip to Vancouver, BC, and it fell out onto the road. And I had no idea why. Someone was honking at me at the time because I couldn't see that this end cap came off, and now there's nothing in there. So I had to buy a whole new hose and attachments, which was a major pain in the butt. So that was fun. As you guys can tell, Jonathan had this built out. He gave us the back seat, and we've kept that in our garage, and more or less it stayed the same. So we keep the freshwater hose in here, and I moved the plug to hook up to the camper. I just put it behind the seat just because it was easier. We just have a lot of just stuff we keep in storage in this little container. This is one of those water backpacks for when you're hiking. Get enough, you know, so you can drink water. Paper towels. I just bought this off Amazon for a car battery tester because the battery lights up on the dashboard, so I think the batteries might be to be replaced soon in the truck, but I haven't tested them, so I'm not entirely sure. And this was something else I bought on Amazon. It is a multi-function camping shovel and axe, just in case, because especially if you're stuck in the snow or dirt or something like that, it's a lot harder to do with your hands than it is to do with a shovel, and also axe for cutting wood or anything like that. So it'll come in handy. So I bought this just in case. And not forget our handy dandy leveling blocks. It is kind of a pain to level when you're on the street. We went to Valerie's dad, and because the way the street is paved, it kind of leans to one side, but it was kind of a pain because whenever I tried to get the truck on the blocks, because it was on concrete, the front ones would slide, and then I could get the back wheel on, so we weren't entirely level, and it's honestly kind of a pain. If I could get a chassis cab truck and have liquid springs installed that can do auto leveling, that'd be super awesome because I'm lazy and I hate leveling the truck. It's a pain in the butt. And so the rest of this is just our random crap that we have in here. That's just little AM FM radio that we have, toilet paper, another little portable trash bag. It's always important to have a surge protector when you're plugged into an outlet when you're at like an RV resort. This way it'll protect your electrical system, because God knows that would be a very, very expensive repair to fix that. So mostly we store a lot of random stuff in here, and it just comes in handy to keep this inside the truck just for storage purposes. And we'll show you on the other side of the truck. Alright, before I did put in a dash cam just because if you're ever in an accident, it always comes in handy. There's no he said, she said, so to speak, about who did what. So I think these chains are for the tires. Jonathan said I don't think he ever had to use them. These are the wooden blocks that that are used for when taking the camper off, same as Jonathan had them. And we bought this generator. It's a 2500 watt Power Smart generator. It's about $379. I know a lot of people like getting the Honda 2500, but that's like 3 times the price. So it was like $1,000. This was only 400 bucks. So I can't really complain. So we just keep this in the back seat, but with solar, probably not really gonna need that as much. This is all firewood we bought from grocery outlet. This is just to pour water in and then toss on the fire so we can put it out. The mud flap came off on the back of the truck. I have no idea how. I'm just gonna have to have that fixed. And that's it for the inside of our truck. Come on in. You've already seen our camper in the newest videos. This hinge is stuck in an upright position, which is very annoying, and I have to replace it. But see this little square head screw, and I have to buy a screw set just to replace that. Unfortunately, I'm probably never going to use it again, but I have to because otherwise I can't unscrew this. With that being said, we did buy all these baby locks, or childproof locks I should say, just because when we were in Vancouver, BC, we're driving down a bumpy road, I think it was to pick blueberries, and a lot of our stuff would fall out. So that was really annoying. So we bought all these just to keep everything locked up and safe. So in here we have just like a lot of food stuff, mocha mix that I like. We have some of our bathroom stuff right here. I'm try to keep this closed because this can't really keep it closed because of the broken hinge.
Yeah.
And most of this is all it's really just snack food and marshmallows, popcorn, and just a ton of like snack food we like to keep in. This is
hot sauce.
Hot sauce, a little Santa Claus hot sauce.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'd recommend for anyone who, want to fill these, having these little storage containers kind of just helps keep things from moving around. So these are really helpful to have.
Yeah. This is actually a camping set I also got off Amazon just because those had to have everything. Some of the stuff is in drawers, but we have utensils, knife, scissors, tongs, another knife, these little things to probably like toasting over a fire, like marshmallows. And then of course we have, oh, you can't actually, more snack food, and then of course we have, I had to actually buy this in the store for bear spray. Especially if you go out in the woods, you really need to have this in case there's bears in the area, or just wildlife in general. You never know. It's not cheap. It's like $50 for each one of these. It was $100, so it's not cheap, but you know, it's always better to be safe than sorry. And put all this random stuff back. Alright, so this is the back of the battery compartment. So the RV repair guy just installed this right here. So we're looking at 13.8 volts right now as the sun is charging the batteries. Let's see, what is that? 25, oh, I can't really tell. 25 degrees Celsius, 21 volts. Not really using much battery. It just says 0 amps. 2 kilowatts right now. So it's just, that's just what he used. It works perfectly fine. Shows our battery power, so we don't have to worry about our power. Okay, I'll show right here. So this would technically be more of a clothing storage area, but we don't really keep much clothes. This is our little generic power bank. So I actually don't remember what brand it was. It's like Uhomi.
Oh, that's probably off Amazon, huh?
Yeah, this was off Amazon. It was, well, these little rubber things came off. I have no idea where they went. But anyway, this was like, I don't know, $200. I think it's a 250 watt system. It works fine enough. Before we replaced the battery and got solar, we used this to charge our phones just because it was more convenient. And we did upgrade the TV, and that only pulls like 9 watts when plugged in, and we just use our mobile hotspot because it's a smart TV, and otherwise it's not really going to work unless you have an internet connection.
Honestly, I think we could probably, some of this probably can go through and probably start storing some clothes in here, because you can kind of see there's a hanger rack right up there. So we probably can clear some of this out and store some clothes in there.
Yeah, we should probably at some point just move this to probably up here. Yeah. And as you can tell, there are child locks everywhere, just because when we were going down bumpy roads and things popping out, stuff leaking everywhere, it's quite annoying. So I think we actually lost a bunch of this. This was like maple syrup.
Is that the one? I don't think that was one. I think that might have been another one.
Oh, okay, might have been another one. There's another one that leaked out everywhere. This was some of that freeze-dried penne.
Yeah, we got that from the Canadian dollar store.
This one is another. Oh, I think this is a first aid kit I bought. This one is. Oh. Also got a dehumidifier to use. I'm just storing this up here just because it's convenient. And as you see when we cook, primarily we'll keep a lot of stuff that we use on hand.
And did Jonathan build this one in?
I think
was this built in?
I don't know if Jonathan installed this or if it was part of the camper when it was first made. I'm gonna assume it was part of it, just because it's, you know, conveniently set right there.
Honestly, I think it probably came in after, because if you look at some of these holes here, it looks like there was something here before.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. I never asked Jonathan. I can always text him and ask. Most of all the stuff is just, we have other things. Cleaning spray that's almost out. We keep some paper towels in here too.
Paper towels been had.
Paper towels look like they've been had, but there's just a lot of stuff. We have some more. Uh-oh. I don't know if this leaked out.
Oh no, it looks okay, but it looks like it rolled around and something.
It's rolled around. I think we might have had a leak, so we probably rolled around and we got some paper towels stuck to it. I don't know if Jonathan installed that or could have been the previous owner. But it's handy to have a little trash can. Probably be better if it was had a bigger one. Jonathan said that this was installed by the previous owner. I honestly kind of found it a pain to use. So we actually had our thermostat replaced because it was broken, and it runs great. It's really loud at night, so when you're sleeping and it's constantly turning on and off, it's kind of a hassle because it'll keep you up at night. I want to get a bigger camper at some point, so I would like a diesel heater, but I think maybe in the next rig. So this one is it's really just used for shoe storage because it's just a little empty space.
Needs to wipe down.
Definitely needs to be clean.
Yeah.
And then here is where we just keep the oven pans for when we cook. So if we bake anything in the oven, we have these to use. There's also a little cutting board right here that we keep right there. I have to get out of the way, but this is where we keep some other stuff. I think Jonathan kept this in there when we were...
Is that another dehumidifier?
I think so, or something.
So we have two.
Yeah, more toilet paper, paper towels. And if you look, after pulling this out, that is where the fresh water is stored. I think this is electrical. I had to put something on here because this thing was flying open constantly. And that was kind of annoying because I think the part that secured it, the little plastic piece, probably broke off. So I had to just put all these little child-proof locks just to keep so it doesn't keep flopping open constantly. The fridge was replaced by the previous owner to Jonathan. So I think for these older campers it is a 5 cubic foot fridge, and this was replaced by a 4 cubic foot fridge, a Norcold fridge. It works really well. It's of course it's an absorption fridge that uses propane. It cools down really quickly. I'd like a 12 volt, but maybe in another bigger rig. I think this radio was installed by the previous owner to Jonathan. And he also, since he replaced the fridge with a smaller one, he had to put this piece of wood to cover up the hole because it was a smaller fridge.
You mean the fridge was bigger?
Yeah, the previous one was bigger. Yeah, previous one was bigger because it was 5 cubic foot. This is a 4 cubic foot fridge. Alright. Turn on this light. So, in here, we had to have this thermostat replaced because it was broken. I don't think Jonathan had ever fixed it, but I guess the RV repair guy said it was a pretty minor fix. And it works great now because it keeps us nice and warm when it's cold. This is just our sleeping area. We we put the pillows right here, and there is only a tiny bit of storage in here, just for you can put clothes or whatever, or maybe your dirty clothes in here. But I prefer a 10-2000 because then you have a north-south layout versus this east-west, especially if you have to get up at night and you have to roll over your partner. It's kind of a hassle. This is nice. Of course, the little escape hatch. You let in air. It's quite nice. And not much else to say about that, but let's go over. We did replace the fridge, not the fridge. We replaced the TV with a smart TV, just because wanted to be able to watch Netflix or anything else like that. So we bought a newer TV, and then I mounted it here. This outlet doesn't work. I got it to work once, but it would be kind of expensive to replace. I don't know if I could do that on my own. May eventually try and figure out, see if I can do that, but this TV works fine. Yeah. Maybe we'll just... We're having problems connecting. I'm gonna use my phone to just turn on the Wi-Fi. Alright, so this is the TV. I've turned it on. I'm going to stop the video for a moment so I can turn on my mobile hotspot and we can see how it works. Alright, so for whatever reason it's taking forever to load, but we have it plugged into our little portable power station, and TV's on, but this is being kind of slow, so that's annoying. But it's a smart TV. It's working really slow off of my mobile hotspot. But it's nice when we have a good cell reception. We did watch YouTube when we were down in SoCal, so it's nice to have. Right now it's being stupidly slow, so that's really annoying, so I'm just going to turn that off. Alright, so in this spot, probably seen in our videos, but we keep...
And it's kind of all rolled around.
It's rolled around, but this is just where we keep all our plates and stuff. We have the oven mitts up here. We have...
take this back to wash.
We have this little...
It's for my morning matcha.
It's for, yeah, for Valerie's morning matcha. It just hook up to the little, I think it's butane. Little butane container, and we use that to warm up water for Valerie's matcha in the morning. I do have, well, there's only a couple in here, but I keep reusable containers in here just for leftovers for when we cook. And then, since of course, you know, when you're driving around and you don't want things to break, everything is plastic. You're not gonna have
It's not plastic. I think they're made of, I think it's like recycled bamboo or straw or something.
Something like
or
that.
maybe, I think it's bamboo or something. It's on Amazon, so we'll throw a link down in the description if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah.
Pretty popular for camping though.
Yep, and then I know it's hard to see, but we have all of our pans and pots that we just keep in here.
Yeah, and then they detach, so they come off, so it's kind of nice. How do you attach these?
It's what's it? So this button? Yeah, it's this button.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
yeah,
that makes it convenient.
Yeah, I think we've seen it in, I don't know if Jonathan or Living Large Camping, maybe Cody and Kelly. I don't remember where we saw it, but it's really handy because then you can just take it off and then you can attach it to another
save
pan.
Space. Yeah.
Yeah, just to save space. Alright, this is where we keep... Well,
and we have the similar utensils that match the dishware.
Yeah, so a lot of those we just, because we reuse them, they just kind of stay right there. The hand, honestly, these things are crap because they just never seem to work. So probably just gonna have to buy another one of those battery powered ones that you can just stick on, and it sticks on via a magnet, because these things never work, and it just makes me super annoyed when you're trying to open a can and you can't.
Yeah, those can openers are the as seen on TV ones. So I've gotten multiple ones from my dad for like Christmas presents, but they're actually kind of useful. So.
And then this is just
the junk drawer.
Just a junk drawer. We keep this LED lamp, and it's really bright. When we were doing the primitive camping video at the Drew Barner campground, it lights up the whole area. It's great, and I think it has a lithium battery, so you just have to plug it in. There's a little USB outlet in here, if I can get that open. so you can just see that where you can plug it in. And then we have this, just a whole lot of crap. We have bug spray. Yeah. I bought some fire starters from Safeway just to make things easier. I probably should put in some lighter fluid in here because in our last video, it was the video before last when we were doing the New Year's Eve camping, I could not get the wood started at all. When I was using a little blowtorch, which I bought, this one is refillable. It's pretty handy. Let's see, unlock this. If I'll turn on. Alright, well, it's not working anymore, but that's not really helpful. The rest of it is just like random stuff. We have honey, little plugs for our charging, I think for the cameras. It's always a good idea to have the Garmin InReach. I think I only pay for $25 a month for this, even though we only camp maybe like twice a month. It's always a good idea to have in case of emergencies where you're somewhere where there's no cell signal. I don't know how to just turn this thing off because I'll charge it and then just let it discharge until the battery dies. We have our little, this little camping thing.
Yeah, my aunt gave me that.
Yeah, it's mostly just junk.
Random things, yeah.
Just random things. So under the fridge, we just have this, I think just this bowl for like a loaf pan. And then I think this is just like random stuff from Jonathan kept in here. This is probably the remote for the old TV because I replaced it with a smart TV. So I don't really need this. It's just kind of random stuff. It takes up space.
Turn it up in the fridge.
And of course our fridge is not turned on since, you know, we're not using it.
A little bit, needs a little bit of wipe down.
A little bit of a wipe down.
Things roll around in there.
Yeah, as you can tell, stuff rolls around. It does keep pretty darn cold. My only complaint is that it's kind of small, so we can't exactly keep a whole lot of stuff. No. The freezer compartment is tiny as heck. You could probably put maybe a couple frozen meals, maybe a drink if you freeze one, could fit in here. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot that you can really fit in there, but it's functional enough. We only go camping we're like twice a month, or at least we're trying to. Sometimes, you know, just due to life and being busy, we're not able to, but it works for us. Turn on this light. So it's kind of hard to see for the bathroom, but we do keep a pair of towels in here just in case we want to shower. I don't remember if Jonathan was the one who set this here or is the owner before him, or maybe it came like that. I honestly don't know. Just open this to get a little air. Gosh, this is really a tight fit, but as you can see, I installed a curtain in here. It is kind of a hassle to deal with, just because, you know, it's an older camper. This is kind of bowed out. This is bowed out a tiny bit. So just to make sure we don't get any water leaks or anything, I just put up this little shower curtain in here when we take a shower. Unfortunately, because you only have 24 gallons, it can't take a long shower. You have to take a really quick one if you want it to be clean.
That's where we keep our toiletries, which is convenient. I just use travel-sized items to put in there. It's really convenient. And then towels on this rack. And this is the stove that we use. So this is propane stove and oven. I mean, this is the oven part. Right. That's the stove. Needs a wipe down.
So one thing I actually forgot is I actually put the window protectors on
Privacy
here.
screens, right?
The privacy screens, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Just because when we bought it, we didn't have that. You know, you're changing, people could see in. Like, what if you're naked? I mean, that'd be kind of embarrassing. One of the biggest ones I did was, oh, I didn't screw this in all the way. Well, it's the keyless RV lock. This thing was $200, well worth the money. It's partly because I couldn't get the older lock to lock the door, you know, for obvious, you know, privacy and security reasons. You want to be able to do that. So I just had to unscrew it. I know these, not all these screws are entirely in all the way, but that's just because it was a pain. But I unscrewed the old one and installed this new one. I just generally leave this on the off position, so I just manually lock and unlock the door. If you keep it in the on position, the door will automatically lock by itself, but I just keep it off since we don't use it much to preserve the battery life.
Of course, some of these were originally here, but we added this one. That was fun. I think that we got that in Oregon.
So we're gonna lock the door. So we just put in our code, and then it locks automatically. We do have keys for it, of course, but just being able to put in the code and hop in and hop out is super easy versus just having to remember to lock in and unlock it. So after 6 months, it's been a lot of fun. We of course, you know, you have mishaps and whatnot, things that, you know, like when you're trying to empty the black tank and then, like, you know, it's broken and pee comes out. That's pretty gross. I'm not gonna lie, that is nasty.
Yeah, I like to liken it to, like, almost like when you buy your first house and then you kind of discover things that, well, you know, maybe my next place I might like this better, or like this isn't really quite working. I feel like it's really quite hard to gauge. Like it's really hard to get the perfect house, like especially your first house, right? So you want to come as close to like
what you're looking for,
yeah, as possible,
yeah.
And it's not going to be perfect. And so like I feel like that's when we bought this, it was kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Like there are some things we wish we had that we didn't.
Yeah, it definitely, like, it hit most of the boxes. We got a 1-ton truck. I really wanted a fiberglass camper, so we bought a Northern Light. The other option was a Bigfoot truck camper, and it just happened that, you know, we bought a camper from one of my favorite YouTubers, and that was an experience. I thought it was fun. Jonathan is really nice. I do have his phone number, and I text him occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who are maybe newer to the channel, we bought this rig from Jonathan Yunch, in case it looks familiar, and it was really cool. Like, when we first drove it home, like, there was actually someone in our complex who was like, oh, I recognize that rig.
One of our neighbors recognized the rig, which I thought, how funny. What a small world that the neighbor is like, did you buy it from the YouTube guy? I was like, yeah, I literally just bought it this weekend. And I thought that was really funny. They actually happen to have, they're probably inspired by maybe Jonathan and other truck campers too, because they have a Jeep Gladiator and they have a pop-up camper I saw and parked in front of their condo. They just like right around the corner from us. That being said, other things learned. I think in the future I'd like to get, if I don't get a newer 10.2, I'd like to get a 10-2000. I think our truck is fine enough for that. It weighs about 600 pounds more. So our camper dry is like 1,840 pounds. A 10-2000 is just a little over 2,400 pounds. So it's slightly heavier. Well, that means we'll probably have to replace the tires with something that has a higher payload, because the 16-inch tires we have now have like a 3,300 pound payload. Probably need 18-inch rims or 18-inch tires with a 4,000 pound payload. I think a payload index of 129. My other complaint is just that I don't like the L-shaped dinette.
Yeah, they want to like show fast.
Just, you know, as you guys have seen with, so as you guys can see in our video and Jonathan's, it's just, you know, it's an L shape. This
it does come out.
This
it moves around.
It moves around, but I honestly I find that kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So I would prefer a dinette. So
yeah, where it's like face to face, I would agree with that.
The face to face dinette. The newer ones have a U-shaped dinette, but if there's two of us, I prefer the dinette face-to-face style just because the table's bigger, and with the U-shaped, yeah, you may be able to sit more people, but the table's smaller. Plus, with if we eventually get a 10-2000, that also has a higher water, fresh water. That one is 36 gallon, ours is only 24, so that means we can, you know, probably shower more, use more water for, you know, showering and whatever for longer before having to fill it up, because when we both use the shower, it's probably only a couple days before we have to fill up the water, before it's close to empty, because you don't think about it, but when you shower, you use a bunch of it, and then all of a sudden, oh, I don't have much more water left. The other thing is that since it's two of us, we tend to like put a bunch of stuff in the dinette just to store like clothes and whatever, and with the dinette style it's easier because then you can just stick stuff under the table so things aren't rolling around.
Yeah, in my predicament, and I agree with you saying about getting a 10-2000, which is slightly bigger, because like when I'm stretching, I have like lower back issues, and so I have like this roller, and so like when you're inside trying to do that, it is very, very narrow, so it's really hard to like really get a good stretch.
Yeah.
It's at night before I go to bed, and maybe like just when I get up after like in the morning. But yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like eventually we want to get a dry bath.
Eventually in the future, who knows, maybe 4 or 5 years from now, I'd like to get a gas dually. I haven't weighed, honestly, I have not weighed our truck. There is a cat scale in West Sacramento that we could drive to and just see how much the truck weighs with the water in it and us and everything. Because the truck only has a gross vehicle weight rating of 10,000 pounds. It's an older truck, so there's no tire and loading information sticker on there, so I honestly don't know what the payload is. I know that's bad, but I don't. It carries the camper really fine. In fact, without the camper on it, I still get 12 miles per gallon. It was the same. I was rather shocked. So whether we had a 2,000 pound camper on the back of it or without, I was still getting the same mileage. So with that, part of the other reason getting a gas dually is that, one, they weigh less. Just as an example, because my mom just got a car, the manager there said the 6.7 liter diesel weighs 750 pounds more than a gas engine. So that's quite a bit of payload that you get just by having a gas engine versus a heavy cast iron diesel engine. Also, just with a dually, we have a ton of payload. The maintenance would be a lot less. I think an oil change on a gas truck, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 150 versus 250. That's quite a lot. And with this older truck, it's every 5,000 miles. So I do need to get an oil change in this soon, but because it's been raining and we store it outside, it's hard to get the truck camper on straight when the ground is wet, and then you're digging a hole from backing in to try to get it straight is a hassle. If we were to get a newer camper, it would be a dry bath. Valerie doesn't like getting her feet wet, and that is kind of annoying. It's a sensory
thing. It's just like after you're done taking a shower, especially when it's cold out and you're getting up in the middle of the night and it's kind of cold, and you get your feet wet. And I think I found a solution to that. I ended up buying like plastic sandals to just kind of slip on, like the ones like when you go inside the house you take your shoes off kind of thing, to kind of slip on to kind of help with that, because in the middle there's nothing worse than it's dipping your feet into this like cold water when you're like just trying to go to the bathroom, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a sensory thing for me.
Yeah, so definitely we would either get a 10-2 with a dry bath with a dinette, the face-to-face, or a Bigfoot truck camper, probably the 10-6, or is it the 10-4? I think it's the 10-4 has the vanity, and it kind of looks like a little actual bathroom, like in your house, in your truck camper. And I like that because then we could store all our toilet paper and all our, you know, shampoo and all that stuff in there. I believe that's the 10-4. That has all the windows and the little panoramic view and the dine-in area. The 10-6 only just comes with a sink and a toilet, and it doesn't have that little vanity cabinet where you can store stuff. And also, that, of course, the other reason with getting a newer and bigger camper is better insulation. It'll keep us cooler in the summer.
And a microwave. So that's one of the biggest things on my list, because it's just like, you know, like there are some days where you just don't really feel like cooking, or you just want to, like, we're on the road or something and just want to like heat something up. That's the, like, I don't know, maybe it's just like, you know, first world problems, but you know, like I think I understand, like most newer campers, it seems like they have a microwave.
It's pretty much, it's standard.
Yeah, and I think that would be nice, so you could just like grab something quick like that.
Yeah, well, in the newer camper versus with a single, we could have 2 of those and have 600 amp hours, and plus we'd have an air conditioning. We don't have an air conditioning.
Yeah, that was my next thought. Is like, you know, are we gonna get an AC? It does get really hot here during the summer, but I feel like some of the places, like if we're going more than an hour out to go camp,
it might not be quite as
especially
bad.
for only like a couple of months, like out of the summer. Like, is it worth like how much are they? Like.
Probably be a couple grand at least.
Yeah, so like, is it really worth like that kind of investment, especially if we're not going to upgrade in a couple of years, kind of thing?
Yeah, because
I know we like the solar was a little bit of an investment, but I feel like that's something that would cost.
Hopefully we can recoup our costs when we sell this, but I think that the solar was definitely worth the money.
Because that's at least, you know, year round, but like the AC, something that you'd really only use like during the summer.
Yeah, with the summer,
so it might be better just to get like a portable one or something.
A portable one. We might have to get a more heavy duty power station, because this little one, that wouldn't cut it with a portable AC. That would drain in probably 15 minutes. We'd probably need something that's like a kilowatt or 1.5 kilowatts.
And then the sleeping situation, like what is like the format of the bed that you were mentioning that you prefer?
You know, as you know, this one has the east-west layout, so it's side to side, versus a north-south layout. You know, you'd just be, your head would be at the end of the So the way it looks now, so your head would be like at the end, and then with the 10-2000, like Kevin Wald.
So it'd be like your feet would be forward, like, rather than our heads would be like right over there.
Yeah. So if you watch Kevin Wald, you know he has a 10-2000. That's pretty much what we're looking at, because we want storage on the side, so I can just keep clothes in here.
So I feel like for 2, I know people do it, but I feel like for 2 people, it is a bit on the smaller side, and I do think I tend to like Kevin Wald, for example, is one person, and so it does sometimes
a little bit cramped.
It's not horrible, but it does feel a little bit.
I didn't show it on the bottom, but our basement where we have the emergency, the boards, and I forget what they're called. The boards you use when you get stuck in the snow or the dirt. The basement is only big enough to stick those in there. It's tiny. You can't really fit anything else in there. And that's another reason why eventually we'd like to get a Bigfoot or a 10-2, because then you have a big storage space, basement, that you could store a ton of stuff. Because we'd like to do, I don't know, like fishing in the future. Yeah. We don't have any room to store long fishing poles. There isn't enough space.
And so one of the reasons you got this camper was because of the fiberglass, which helps prevent mold.
Well, it's fiberglass. Bigfoot and Northern Light campers generally hold their value longer versus as people would say, anything with a wood frame, a stick and staple, is eventually going to rot. This is 25 years old. It's in 1999. Probably technically 26 now since it's 2025, but it's in really good shape.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for like your first camp, for someone who's getting their first camper, like, and it's my opinion, but I think initially, like, before we bought this, we were thinking about potentially buying something new, but I'm glad we didn't, because I feel like, again, it kind of going back to like buying your first house kind of thing, and like, you know, for us being noobs, like, we didn't want to put like a huge, like, all of our eggs in one basket.
Yeah, because buying trucks are like ridiculously expensive. It's also part of the reason why I want a gas dually is I've seen some that are on sale near us, $60,000.
Yeah, so this kind of gives us like a feel for like the lifestyle, and just to kind of like, you know, if there's things that like the little things that we were just mentioning that we might want in our next camper, and probably that might be used too, I think.
Yeah.
Most likely. And I think the 10.2 probably sounds like perfect for what we're
looking for. The Northern Light 10.2 or the Bigfoot 10.4 would be perfect for us, because since we don't have like a flatbed with like side boxes, which would be cool, I'd love to have a class 4, class 5 truck. That in itself also comes with issues like getting insurance, because when I watch videos of people saying that they get quotes for $25,000 a year, that's a whole ass car. You could pay that's a ridiculous amount of money. I think a lot of people use like I think it's Progressive for buying a commercial truck and for personal use, but that in itself is something that would definitely have to look into if were we to go that route.
Yeah, so I think honestly overall it does like it meets our needs, to be honest. Like with it, like a couple of caveats, but overall I think it works for what we needed it for, and so I'm glad that we ended up like getting this one first, and it kind of gives us a feel for like the lifestyle and like, you know, what we might like want to change and that kind of thing. And so but that's, you know, with that being said, for the most part I do like this camper. It's held up really well, with the few caveats that water doesn't really last very long when you both have to shower, because there's two of you. If you're a single person, 24 gallons may just be okay. If you maybe I don't know, shower every second or third day, you'd have to make it really quick to make it last. Yeah, and so some of the places that we've been using are like Overlander. Some of the other ones. Harvest Host has been great. Yeah, we haven't done any like camping in like a Walmart or anything like that. We've done it at rest stops, but these are some good resources, and it's interesting because it's like, I always thought like, you know, like I see people camping like just like off grid like anywhere, and just kind of realizing like there are certain like more limitations than I thought. It's not as simple as you can just go find the woods and you go park. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, completely, this is completely like new to me, and so just like the things that you learn over like the 6 months of doing it. Yeah, well, we live in Sacramento. There isn't really any great boondocking spots. Yeah, we have to drive out a bit to find a more remote camping spot, like you see like Kevin Wall do, and Kenny of All Trades, or Larry from Work Less, Enjoy Life More. Yeah. So honestly, you know, we really want to know, I think, like what you'd like to see us do in a future video. Like if there's any boondocking tips or anything that you guys have, what do you guys want to see in a future video? We'd love to know. And if you have any questions, just feel free to drop them in the comments. We'd be happy to answer them. But I think as for like our next adventure, we're actually going to be headed up to Seattle. We're going to be flying up there, kind of a quick weekend trip. So hopefully the weather's okay. So that's going to be what's happening next. So we'll kind of take you guys along with us for that, kind of a quick weekend trip. So yeah. Next truck camping trip, we have something planned for May, but that's a ways off because it's February right now. I'd like to try camping nearby at the Folsom Lake. Yeah, so maybe that might be there's a more rustic campground on the northern part, and it's for us. We don't. It's first come first serve. So I would have to call. Might be in a couple weeks just due to life and being busy. So I'd like to do that soon.
And then, yeah, as Valerie said, just drop a comment, see what.
If you have any questions, just, feel free to let us know. Or any tips, of course, we're always looking at. We're still kind of new. I mean, it's only been 6 months at this point, but overall, we've really enjoyed some of the trips that we've had so far, and especially when we went to BC, save on hotels, but of course gas is expensive. So,
yeah, gas was our biggest expense.
But yeah, so thank you guys for kind of joining us with this video. Just let us know if you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, and we will see you guys on our next adventure.
All right, later.
Bye.